George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Well, we are here to learn about the leadership classroom. Now, let me tell you about the leadership classroom. The leadership classroom, as I understand it, is a way for entrepreneurs or nonprofits to really get the nuts and bolts of what it means to be in an organization. And so organizations like the Good Life Youth Foundation got their feet wet through the leadership classroom. And now Hasan Stevens has gone from the leadership classroom to the co-facilitator of the leadership classroom and the CEO of the Good Life Youth Foundation. And we are also joined by Faye Williams, who is the executive director of the Baby Mama Association. So glad to have both of you in the program. And before Hasan kicked me out, Faye, I used to be part of the leadership classroom, and I'm just joking when I say that. But I used to help out. I used to help out a little bit. But Faye, good to have both of you. Hasan, it's always good to see you continue good work that you're doing in the community. Let me start with you, Hasan, to tell us, in your words, what the leadership classroom is and how you, as Good Life Youth Foundation, when you were sort of kicking this idea around, how did this prepare you for where you are today?
Sure. I mean, I think you hit it right on the head. It really is about teaching the foundational elements of organizational development. And so we utilize a curriculum, Susan Kinney Stevens, nonprofit life cycle process to teach emerging leaders, CEOs, executive directors, grassroots organizations, and really the whole team about what are the key components to making a sustainable, strong, and long-lasting organization that can have maximum impact in the community. And thus far, the track record has been tremendous. Many of the organizations that have gone through the TLC classroom or the leadership classroom, like 100 Black Men, or like NITA, like some of the grassroots orgs and that have really been around and really continue to have impact. As far as the Good Life Foundation, I live and die by the curriculum that we teach. Eventually became a certified nonprofit life cycle specialist through the Institute because I understood the impact of the curriculum and the information that we were teaching these organizations. And so I actually went through the classroom twice. When I came in with one organization that kind of imploded as I was going to the classroom, and I begged them to kind of stay in the classroom and continue getting that information and that knowledge. And then when I conceived of the idea of the Good Life Youth Foundation, came back another year when I actually was able to receive the grant. And because of my engagement, they asked me to be the co-facilitator, which led to continuous teaching of it. And we all know that if you really want to learn something, you teach it. So I've been not only teaching other organizations, but I always come up with something new that I have to think about and apply to my own organization as we're going through the day-to-day.
Yeah, and I should point out that the Leadership Classroom is a program of the Central New York Community Foundation.
Absolutely.
And celebrating 30 years. So for 30 years, these organizations have come through. And I remember in some of the sessions that I was involved in, some of the organizations, Light of Syracuse, you said NITA, Northeast Hawley Development Association, yes, and Hope Print and other organizations like that were part of that. And so it's exciting to see that this groundbreaking grassroots opportunity exists for organizations. And I say grassroots because many of the organizations, Hasan, aren't all formed, many of them yet, right? They're really just starting to get their act together.
That's one of the things that's very unique about the TLC classroom. Many classrooms and groups often cater to nonprofits, 501c3 classification, but you can actually come into this classroom just literally, it's based and made for the grassroots level. So before you are a 501c3, come in and understand whether or not you should be a 501c3 or just have a fiscal sponsor, all of those different things. And George, I'd be remiss if, you mentioned 30 years celebration for this. I'd be remiss if I did not shout out my co-facilitator and many ways my mentor and my first teacher of this curriculum, Beth Broadway, who is the president and CEO of the Interfaith Works agency. So I just wanted to shout that out.
Yeah, you obviously you said we understood, right? Because you said co-facilitator. That means that there was somebody else you were facilitating with. And so
Absolutely.
shout out to Beth Broadway and Beth, in fact, let's just give her congratulations because she announced earlier this year that she was retiring as the CEO of In the Faith Works. So shout out to Beth Broadway. And so let's talk to you, Faye, because you are one of the newbies, if you will, with the TLC. Tell me about Baby Mama Association and what it does.
Oh, Baby Mama Association is an organization that it was kind of birthed out of my own life experience because I had so many struggles as a single mother. And I just thought that I could be a tremendous, not just me, but help to the young women that have children that are struggling. And it's even worse now than it was when I only had one. And
Hmm.
now you have young women that have two or three children, and it's just hard because the economy is different, everything is so different. There was no social media when I was going through it, but there's so many things now that impact a family dynamic until I can't even wrap my head around how they're making it, without some kind of assistance and guidance, more so than what they have had maybe coming out of their own parents' homes, because it's just hard. But I thought that when I saw so many working for legal aid, I did work for legal aid for 19 years, and a lot of that was family court appeals. And I just could not imagine how it was to just be in that rut, back and forth to DSS, back and forth to the different agencies looking for help, sitting, waiting, standing in lines. And, it's not the kind of teach a man to fish, um, type of help that they really need. So it was like they weren't getting out. So I thought that maybe I could offer some help and some guidance to these young women and give them an opportunity to try to climb up out of that rut and not be so stuck in life just because they, may have made some wrong turns or bad decisions, and it's a way out.
So, what did you learn from Hassan in the leadership
Let
classroom?
me tell you, this guy here, this guy, I love he is so cool. He
Thank
is so
you.
cool. And I don't think I've ever seen him like get frazzled ever, but he's a very understanding person. And when I first came to tell, this is my second round. I am in the learning classroom now for a second time. And he's the same way. But anyway, back then when I did go through it, I think it was like 2018,
Hmm.
class of 18, and Hassan was very understanding. He's a good listener. And I remember one time we were either on break or at the end of the session, and I was just burning his ear up, man. I mean, he just sat there and listened to me. And when I finished talking, he asked some very important questions. So I left that day thinking I talked too much. You know what I'm saying? Because he asked some questions that made me consider what I was saying. Like, there you can't substantiate that because you only have part of the information. So I appreciate him for being candid, for being honest, and for being kind and understanding. But Hassan, I know this, I'm not trying to blow you up. You can't give me a grant or anything, but I just want you to know that I appreciate just your demeanor in this whole TLC. And Beth is great as well. But Hassan is like, I could connect, and I tried to find him. He's very, you can't pin this guy down,
No,
but
no, you
I like
can't.
to tap his brain every now and then. So I kind of gave up after a while because I know that he's like stretched 1,000 different ways, but
So open
he's
door,
very
open door. We'll
knowledgeable.
set up a time.
I know you got the open door, but everybody getting in there before I do.
But but Hassan, how does that feel for you? You probably needed that at this moment, but how does that feel to actually hear that work that you're doing out of your own experiences is having such an impact?
I mean, I think it feels good. It's difficult to hear sometimes because, through humility, it's like it's not about me. It's about the groups that we are, helping, and the groups that are having a tremendous impact on an area that needs it so much, right? Like when we think about how we select the groups, all the different groups that participate in TLC, there's a huge need given what is happening in Central New York. And I think what happens is a lot of times people think because of the prosperity, because of the economic development, that there's not that much of a need. But with that economic development, spikes and increases the disparities because there's a population that's just not getting the help that they need. And Faye and her team happens to be catering to a particular population. And I think sometimes when we think about the populations, we don't think about the nuances of that population, right? We think of this homogenous population of poverty and whatever else, but there's real distinctions within that population. Baby mamas, for example, they have specific and unique needs. Whereas young, black and brown male teens and even poor white male teens that are, on the north side or whatever, they have another set of needs. And it's really the collaboration between organizations that are able to hit the greater population and give them the resources that they need. So it feels great to hear, to your question, to hear that it's having that impact. It's not about me. It's not about Beth. It's not about the community foundation. It's about the people and the many groups that come out of TLC, and also the synergy and the collaboration that happens between them.
So I'm going to teach you something, Hasan. First thing you say is thank you, and then you can go on and say it's not about me.
Thank you. That's the humility. It's
right. But sometimes it's hard for people to accept the blessing. So accept the blessing and then go on and say it's not about me. Okay, just want to give you that. No,
appreciate it. Thank you, Faye.
Well, he did specifically ask me about you, so I had to tell him what I thought.
But then he went on and said, well, it's about me. But I understand that, and that's fair, right? And that's fair. But Faye, I wanted to ask you, because you said you went through twice. So did you go through are you with the same organization twice, or are you coming back through because you want to come back through?
Because I want to come back through, and because we have a whole different volunteer staff and board than we had when I went through first time. And I really wanted them to experience, first of all, being in the midst of other nonprofits that were experiencing some of the same struggles and some of the same, they may be even in the same level or whatever of figuring this whole thing out. And it's kind of encouraging. I mean, to know that you're not the only one that has some issues that need to be ironed out.
Isn't it interesting? Once you step into the game, you see all the other players, but until then, you don't even know that this is happening. I also find it interesting that you chose the name Baby Mama Association. I'm sure that was intentional. Why?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't answered that question in a long time, but here it goes. I had a dream that one day, no, I'm just kidding.
It's all right.
I actually was struggling trying to figure out a name. I had already decided that we were going to be a 501c3, and I said, I need a name. So I had a dream, and that's the name that I got in the dream. So when I woke up, I totally scratched it because I didn't want to be called Baby Mama Association Incorporated, because number one, it's a stereotype, and it does carry kind of negative connotations.
Connotation,
so I just kind of blew it off, and I couldn't think of anything else that was, that would ring. So I'm like, I'm gonna go with this until I think of something else, because I wanted to get going. And I'm still there. We're still Baby Mama. I really felt that the first time I went through TLC, because of interacting with the other groups, and every time somebody said, you say what it is now, what's your name? It's Baby Mama Association Incorporated. And there was a young lady, you remember, I can't think of her name. I text her every now and then, but she was one of the groups, the healthy food. I know you remember her, Hasan. I can't think of her name, but anyway, she said, I like it. I think that it will help take the stigma off of that that name. If you have this kind of organization and you're trying to help baby mamas better themselves and come up out of the rut. So I like it. And after that, I was like, well, I like it too. So
When I
that's what
heard
we
it,
are.
when I hear it, I'm hearing that it's very intentional.
Mhm.
That this is who I'm talking to, this is who I'm trying to support, and this is who I'm trying to help, right? Because it's right there in your face. You can't, you know what I mean? This is what we're talking about. I'm interested in, and Hasan, I'm interested in your feedback on this as well. When you said that this is not a teach them how to fish organization, what I heard was we are gonna walk with you. We're gonna kind of do the opposite of what we're supposed to do, like this idea. Because I was talking with I was in another session training the other day, and this group's mission was to empower, right? Which you want to do that as well. But the way they thought about it was, we got to we're going to teach you how to fish. But you said it's not about that. So I'm
No, well,
interested
what I
in,
was,
yeah, because
yeah,
that's what I heard, that we're doing something else. So clarify it or make it plain.
what I'm saying is that the help that they do get is not the teach a person how to fish kind of help.
Hmm.
But we want to be the organization that will teach them how to fish and sustain themselves. So what I was referring to was the help that they get now, with DSS and giveaways, and it's just not helping them. It's not
Mm.
helping build them or helping to,
Ah, okay,
you
just the
know.
opposite. Okay.
So, right. So we want to give them just tapping into their own abilities, their own resources, their own dreams and visions, and giving them the opportunity through connections and teachings and speakers coming in and motivating to rekindle those dreams, to to get up and pursue going back to school or starting a business, so that they'll know that they have worth in this world. They're not just a number.
Let me ask you this, and I know Hassan's work. Would you please forgive me for not asking you what Good Life Youth Foundation is and does?
Good Life Youth Foundation is a 501(c)(3) that leverages hip hop culture to work with the highest risk youth population in Onondaga County, in hopes of reducing youth violence, recidivism and incarceration, and improve behavior, attendance, and grades amongst youth and young adults. And really, we leverage hip hop culture to expose the highest risk population to entrepreneurship. So, in many ways, when Faye is talking about teaching people how to fish, it resonates because, like she said, populations like the ones we target, not target, but like assist and help and engage, oftentimes get resources and assistance that create dependency, right? And so by tapping into their loves, these are powerful people. These are important people. These are people with dreams, as Faye alluded to. We in the Good Life are taking those dreams. We have a saying is encourage the dream and empower the reality. So we take youth and young adults to dreams and we give them the tools, the skill sets, the knowledge, and the wisdom and connections to be able to make it a reality.
And so, in that, both of you are dealing with hard populations, right? Because some of the youth are coming from various different backgrounds. Like you said, Faye, some of the young women have multiple pregnancies or multiple children that they're navigating, and then Hasan, some of the young people are feeling lost, right? And so, how do you work with what happens when you can't save everybody? And I guess save is maybe not the right word, but
That's the right word.
it is the right word. Okay, so I'll start with you, Hassan. What's that like, and Faye as well?
I'll challenge Faye for a second and say, so for us, save is not the right word for us, right? Because we give them the tools, resources, and knowledge for them to save themselves. And so, people, we want to provide a space for them to be empowered, right? But it's difficult to empower them. It has to come from within. When you ask George about not being able to help everyone or get everyone across that finish line, it's a difficult reality to take in, because you want to, we operate on the premise that if we aren't helping everybody, then we aren't doing our jobs. And it's one of the things that keep us passionate, and it's why we are good at what we do, is because we operate under that premise that we want to help everyone. So we take a big hit, and it hurts
Yeah.
when we lose someone, whether we lose someone to violence or we lose someone to incarceration, or we're just not reaching someone. But over the years, one of the things, we are now going on 13 years old. One of the things that I've identified, and we have collectively discussed and identified as a team, is that a person might get it here at point A, but it might take another person to point C, point D in order to get it. So we had to shift our thinking to say it's not that we didn't get them. Their journey is different. And our job is to walk them along that journey until they get the very thing that they need. I have young men who are incarcerated right now that used to be in the program that have sent me letters and emails and things like that and said, yo, I finally understand what you were saying. Like, I get what you're saying. When I come out, this is what I'm going to do, right? And so everybody is different, and I don't want to frame it as we can't save everyone. The only time we truly lose someone is when we lose them to death,
Mm.
you know? And that is a really difficult and tough thing to do. You go back and you say, well, what if I had just picked them up the day before, picked them up, or we've had kids that we've seen in the street and wave and pull over and say hello, and then they're in the paper, and it's like, damn, what if I had just put them in the car? So it's a difficult thing to deal with and navigate, but the show must go on so that we can, the story of the star, right? If we help one star, we just continue on, and focus on the other ones one by one.
Faye, you would have a different answer than that?
Yes,
Because you said
one
we
by
can't
one
save
is
everyone. Yeah, go ahead.
yes. I agree. I agree with what he said as far as they have to save themselves, to help them save themselves. And that's, I'm saying that I agree, but to still say to save everybody, because it's in a sense that they have that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? But they do have to make the decision. The decision is up to them. We can't make them receive help. We can't make them commit to any changes.
But
You
that's
know,
hard.
it is because when you are so long knowing a way,
Mm.
and then somebody comes along and shows you another way, as soon as life happens, you're going to revert back to the way that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we just try to give them enough confidence in themselves that they can do without that way that's destroying them, and try this way. Just try this way. Just try it. Just commit for 6 months, and let's see what happens after that.
By the way, we're talking with Faye
Yes.
Williams, Baby Mama Association, and Hasan Stevens, the CEO of the Good Life Youth Foundation and the co-facilitator of the Learning Classroom, a program of the Central New York Community Foundation, a partner with Inspiration for the Nation, and the 30th anniversary of the Leadership Classroom, and how the Leadership Classroom helps organizations like Baby Mama Association train the board and really run them through the steps so that they can sustain themselves, decide if they want to be, how they want to form in terms of their status. Are they the rightful 501c3? Maybe not. Maybe they're, as Hasan said, a fiscal agent. Maybe that's the best way to do the thing. Do your business, or you're a nonprofit organization. But what we know is that we're a resource-rich community, despite what we think. We got a lot of resources. And there are a lot of people who are like Faye and like Hasan, trying to make a difference in this community. And that's why we're having this conversation, because there's work that needs to be done. And these folks are doing that work. What would you like, Hasan and Faye, to leave us with, so that the work that you do, Faye, what do you need from us? What do you need from community to support the work at Baby Mama Association? Hasan, thinking with what you've been seeing in the community, 13 years of working with the youth, what's the next step? So let's start with you, Faye.
Oh, it's starting with me.
You need a minute because Hasan is always ready. All
He is.
right, go ahead, Hasan.
If I wanted to leave anything, I would say that we're about to see a shift. Um, Regardless of anyone's political beliefs or side that they support. One thing that we know under this type of leadership is that there starts to be a divesting of resources and support for nonprofits and particular populations. And so, we have to be prepared to remember that with targeted universalism, right? That's a key term that people have to remember. Targeted universalism, by targeting and engaging and supporting and helping the most marginalized populations in society, we actually lift everyone up. All tides rise, right? And so when people start thinking about Central New York and all of the economic development, when they start thinking about the aquarium, when they start thinking about the mall, when they start thinking about Micron and all of these different things that are popping up within the community, that's a great thing. However, when bullets start to hit the glass and the water leaks, when bullets start to fly at the mall, when people who are trying to get to work, you know, at the chip plant or whatever, are having to deal with the backlash of the disparities in the area, everyone loses, right? When you see kids coming into Clay and other areas because they are seeking resources that they don't have on an everyday basis, right? Which is why everyone has to get focused on investing in communities, investing in community efforts. I do a lot of work with the foundations locally, but also foundations nationally, like the Annie E. Casey Foundation. And what I'm seeing across the board is this really centralized focus on not just supporting systems in the work that they do, but supporting the actual community efforts, because that's where the true solutions to the problems lie and where they're going to come from. The solution to the problem lies closest to the problem. And so we have to invest in community efforts, grassroots organizations, much like the Central New York Community Foundation does historically over the last 30 years through TLC, to make sure that the people who are emotionally and socially connected to the issues have the right tools, knowledge, and resources in order to affect the problem.
Hear, hear. Faye.
Awesome. Yes, I just want to say this about the Community Foundation. As long as I have had any um, dealings with them, they have always been on top of what is happening now. And they've
Mm-hmm.
always had solutions to help nonprofits address what is happening now. And that's what I appreciate about them. They're not lagging behind in
Mm-hmm.
current events. You know, they're already on top of it. They already know what's going to be needed, and they're just waiting for you to come because they already know. And they have a good way of assisting you, you know, guiding you, advising you how to go about doing it. I appreciate uh, what they're doing with nonprofits, but especially the collaborative parts. Just like Hasan is just saying, something is coming down the pipe, and we can't be competing against one another as nonprofits. We're going to have to learn even more how to collaborate and get the work done, how to
Yeah.
collaborate and help these people, you know, save themselves, give them the tools that they need. Because without that collaboration, it's weak. It's going to be weak. And you know, when you unite, you know, you have strength, you have power. So I forget about how to help BMA, how to help these organizations out here come together and get the work done, because we're basically all somewhat doing the same thing. We're addressing the same audience.
Now,
And
Faye, you just did what Hasan did. I asked you, how can they support you? And you said, forget about BMA. We're not doing that today.
okay, let me tell you this. Yes, we take donations.
Yes,
Okay.
I noticed that. That's what I'm asking you.
We do receive donations from
Yes.
private donors. If anybody wants to give to us, we do have a website, and it is conveniently named Baby Mama Association,
Dot what?
org,
Thank you. Okay.
something, one of
And is
those.
it now let's spell out mama because you know we gotta
Mama, that's right, because a lot of times when people write it down, they're spelling it M-A-M-A, and
and you
that is
got
not the mama that Baby Mama is. So it's Baby, B-A-B-Y, Mama, M-O-M-M-A,
mm,
Association Incorporated. Um,
M-O-M-M-A. See, I would have did it wrong, so I'm glad you said
yes,
that. That's why I had you do
M-O-M-M-A.
that. All right.
Yeah, so I wanted to do BMA, but it was already taken.
BabyMamaAssociation.org. In collaboration with other community. So we can
Absolutely.
say that. We can say
Thank
that.
you. You're a good teacher, Mr. Kilpatrick. I
Good Life Youth
appreciate that.
Foundation. And
Yes, but
listen, and I just wanted to you said something about the community foundation, and shout out to the work that they are doing, not only with the learning classroom. Is it the learning classroom, leadership classroom?
Leadership
The
classroom.
leadership classroom, and of course, Black Equity and Excellence Fund, which allowed me to be here with you today. So I want to say that is great that you're giving them that shout out, because there was a time when organizations were so stuck and so static, and right, Hasan knows in this community. So the fact that there are organizations that are able to pivot and look at what the need is now, right, is a beautiful thing. So with that being said, Baby Mama Association, MOMMA, association.org, and Hasan Stevens co-facilitated. How do people get how do people get into the leadership classroom?
So
Finally.
there's an application, sorry, and my little one is like, it's time up, Daddy.
You know what? I was getting ready to say, she did so good,
did really good,
so
right?
well. She did
Proud of
so
her.
well. Beautiful,
Smart
beautiful.
girl.
So for those who are listening on the radio, you won't have this pleasure. So you got to go to our YouTube channel and see the beautiful young lady who is over 2, right? She's 3 now?
She's 3.
Yes.
beautiful.
Beautiful young lady.
So as far as the leadership classroom, our applications open up in August. It's pretty much a 8-month, total 9 months in terms of activities. And then we take 2 months off. And then in August, we open up the application process. You can find the application online at the cnycf.org. I think it's /TLC. But if not, they can go to the main landing page and search for TLC, and the application will be there. They have about a month or two. Let me see. Yeah, usually by about a month for them to put the application in, and that application actually opens up early. So like by July, we're taking applications, and what they can do is submit. They need to have a team, so it can't just be you, one person. You gotta have a team of 4 to 5 people that are believing in the mission and wanting to do the work. And then you submit that, and we do a comparison and pull the best. Each year it's really difficult. We get a lot of good candidates, and we try to get the best of the best that are going to be.
How many can you have at one time?
That fluctuates. Every year, Beth and I are always trying to like negotiate and vie for like more groups. But I think the most we've ever had was 6 or 7
At one
at one time. But on average, it's about 6 groups.
And do you want to name the beautiful young lady who we have in front of us right now?
This is Sanaya Elise Amira Stevens. Say hi. Say hi.
So beautiful. Oh, look, yes. All right. That's Hasan Stevens, co-facilitator.
I got some my Band-Aid.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you.
Show us her
Get your
Band-Aid.
All right. In the meantime, we're going to say thank you to Hasan Stevens, the CEO of Good Life Youth Foundation and the co-facilitator of the Leadership Classroom, CNYCF. Go on their website. You can find it, Faye Williams, BabyMamaAssociation.org, George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation.